Good evening. I'm Fatma Jumna. This video presentation is based on 20 article review of school violence. Violence in school by its notion means an attack on student or on school staff usually provided by a physical or a psychological action which make it one of the main issues in education sector. Such incidents may cause severe damage on people's mental and physical health and even death. Although a significant research has been conducted in the past on the causes and appropriate intervention for school-based violence, the practice continues to happen every day, especially in urban schools. Several studies in the past attempted to define school violence and the factors promoting this vice within the education sector. The title of the first article is The Effect of Student Violence Against School Employees on Employee Burnout and Work Engagement. The Roles of the Preserved School Unsafety and Transformational Leadership. The article focuses on the correlation between the violence against school staff and work engagement. The article is taken from a self-report data from a sample of 728 school employees. According to this study, violence in school and victimization of workers have a direct correlation to rising causes of burnout. The title of the second article is Preventing School Violence Assessing Armed Guardians, School Policy and Contest Policy, and it is an international journal of police strategies and management. The author focused into the implication of armed guardians and school policy on prevention of violence in school. In their study, Crawford and Burns found that presence of unclear correlation between the presence of armed guards at school and the reduction of violence. The title of the third article is Violence at School and the Well-being of Teachers: The Importance of Positive Relationship. The article assessed the implication of school violence on the well-being of teachers. 475 teachers were a part of an online questionnaire sample. From their study, it emerged that teachers can feel safe at school even with high prevalence of school violence. Having a support system in place and the workplace environment is appropriate. The title of the fourth article is Exposure to School Violence at School and Mental Health of Victimized Adolescents: A Mediation Role of Social Support. The article focuses on the attempt to establish the mediating role of social support in understanding the correlation between the school violence and mental health of the victims in a 2018 study. From this study established that the presence of a social support system could mediate the relationship between the mental health of violence victims and the incidence of such school incidents. The title of the fifth article is Primary Prevention Intervention for Reducing School Violence. The study assessed the current prevention intervention for violence in school. The study begins with an assessment of the cost incurred by institution and state due to the violence in school. The article assessed the past research of school violence intervention and determined that the additional research is necessary to improve the current state of violence prevention in the school system. The title of the seventh article is Dimension of School-Based Violence to and by Children, an overview of recent literature. The article provides a review of recent literature on various dimensions of school violence. Apart from providing a summary of the past studies relating to violence in school, the article calls for an additional research into possible intervention to ensure the safety of all children and youth in school. The title of the eighth article is Sexual Orientation Trends and Disparities in School Bullying and Violence-Related Experience. The article is a review of statistics and research relating to violence in school and victimization based on sexual orientation. The data for the assessment came from 8 surveys among Massachusetts youth between 1999 and 2003. The author noted the absence of a significant reduction in gender disparity among the students and the level of violence in school have been on a rise during the same period. The title of the ninth article is Gender Expression Violence and Bullying Victimization Findings from Probability Sample of High School Students in 4 U.S. School District. The article focused on the attempt to establish the connection between gender expression and incidents of violence in school. The study leads to conclusion that formative of non-formative to social norms of gender expression remains among the top factors promoting incidents of violence among students. Title of the 10th article is Addressing Violence in Education from Policy to Practice. The 2019 article addressed the policy implication and the prevalence of violence within the American education system. The discussion made from the review included that information is critical in forming understanding of the pedagogy of school-based violence. The title of the 11th article is Violence in Urban Schools, School Professional and Categorization and Explanation of Violence Among Students in Two Different Demographic Areas. The 2019 article assessed the categorization and explanation given by educational professionals from two different school districts. In their studies, the result established that the social economic status of the school districts plays a significant role in school professional definition and perception of violence. The title of the 12th article is Effect on Violence Prevention Intervention in School and Surrounding Communities. The article attempts to determine the effect of violence prevention in randomized controlled trials. According to their study, the proposed intervention saw significant promising in reducing school-based violence in Uganda. The title of the 13th article is The Cock of the School: A Cultural History of Playground Violence in Britain. Jacob Middleton's 2013 articles look at the history of violence in school from 1880 to 1940. He determines that fighting became popular as a way for boys to experience fantasies of manhood. The title of the 14th article is Reducing Violence by Teachers Using the Preventive Intervention Interaction Competencies with Children for Teachers. The article focused on the effectiveness of proposed intervention in reducing school violence in Tanzanian secondary school. The study also indicates that preventive intervention can be effective in reducing incidents of school violence. The title of the 15th article is Victimization, Loneliness, Overt and Relational Violence at School from a Gender Perspective. The article focused at the issue of school violence and victimization from a gender perspective. The article concluded that the feeling of loneliness and victimization mostly affect the female student in case of school-based violence. The title of the 16th article is Association between Violence in School and at home and educational outcome in rural Malawi. The 2017 article focused on Malawi's school system to determine whether violence at school and home affects educational outcome. In their research established a relationship between incidents of absenteeism and school-based violence. The title of the 17th article is Student-Inflicted Injuries to Staff in School, Comparing Risk Between Educators and Non-Educators. In 2019 article, it focused on the work compensation data and it determined the risk of factors associated with student-based injuries and determined a rapid increase in incident of staff injuries inflicted by students. The title of the 18th article is Primary School Students' Mental Health in Uganda and its Association with School Violence. This study based baseline data from the Good School Study, a cluster randomized controlled trial conducted in Uganda. The conclusion made from this study was it need to come up with appropriate intervention that can deal with peer connection and incidents of school violence concurrently. Title of the 19th article is Association of Teen Dating Violence, Victimization with School Violence and Bullying Among US High School Students. The 2016 study which demonstrates the teens who do not report cases of dating violence. The article concluded made was that teenagers who likely to bring weapons to school promote school violence. The title of the 20th article is Teachers Establishing Relationship with Students Using Counseling Strategies. In a 2017 study, the author established that improving teacher-student relationship and communication level. The conclusion made from the article was that it can be an effective school violence intervention. This concludes my video presentation for 20 article reviews which I have done for my youth development studies. Thank you.